We're going to call up committee sub for House Bill 148. I hope y'all all received that. This is to provide a portion of monies in the Mississippi Development Authority Tourism Advertising Fund shall be used advertising and promotion of our state parks. You know, state parks are a big issue right now. We want to make sure that we get our state parks up to where they need to be because it's good outdoor family fun, and they're in a disarray right now. But what we want to do is advertise our state parks for people to start coming here from other states and, of course, within the state. So what we want to do is, I don't know if you remember last year or the year before, I'm not sure which year, we created a special fund in the state treasury to be known as the Mississippi Development Authority Tourism Advertising Fund. And we want a percentage of that to go on to make sure that we get advertising for our state parks. The more people that come, of course, the more revenue we have, and we can get those back up to in shape. So what we did was in the committee sub, I had put 10%, which looking at the amount of monies, it would have been a large part of the budget. And so right now, we're going to put it at 3% of cost incurred by advertising and promotional information and material related to Mississippi State Parks. And we can come back and assess that after we get our state parks up and going better. And that is my explanation of the bill. Are there any questions?
I have questions, Madam Chair Lady.
Yes, sir.
It's Representative Denton.
Go ahead.
So you say 3%. So
about how much money that is? We're looking at that being about $300,000 the first year. So okay. This money is going to go up. We're going to give them more every year, so it will change. But the first year, we're looking at that being about $300,000, which right now they have zero advertising. So, and also the first year, to be really honest with you, we're, like I said, we're going to try to get promotional materials and commercials together. So we want to make sure that they're able to kick this off with some money, and then we'll look at it again next year to see where we are, how we're doing, and what state parks we need to start advertising.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I want to thank you for bringing this up, and this was one of the great things that came out of your committee meetings with the tourism committee meeting that you had back in the fall. But when we brought this up there at the time, the gentleman that was handling the bill, he did say he would be amenable to doing up to the 10% when we asked him the question that, you know, that originally did that. So, but you're going to work with us to make sure that we get to that point in the long run, though, aren't you?
Absolutely. We just, like I said, this money, we put it where it will start increasing. And the first year, it looks like it might be $3-4 million, but it will get up to $6 million or above that. So I didn't want to take too much of the budget on the first year that MDA is actually getting this money to start with. We, you know, don't want to go in and take a huge chunk of it. And to be really honest, before we get our parks up to ship, you know, to where we want to advertise them. There's a lot of parks. If we advertise right now, people may never come back because of the facilities, the bathrooms, the parking areas. We've got a lot of work to do, and so this is the beginning. And this is us telling MDA we want for you to not exclude state parks. You know, we do very well on museums. We do very well on other things, but we have left our state parks out completely. So we're also just sending a message that we're going to be on top of this, and we want this wonderful asset that the state of Mississippi has advertised.
I agree with you. Sometimes, you know, out of sight, out of mind. And I think that's one of the things with our state parks. They've been out of sight and out of our mind for so long that we as locals sometimes forget that how beautiful resource that we had. But I appreciate your hard work on this. And I just wanted to point out that, you know, the ones that were lobbying so hard on this bill that brought this said they would be amenable in the future for us going to 10% of that. But thank you for your leadership in pushing this through.
Thank you, Representative Miles. Anybody else have any questions?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The MDA Tourism Advertising Fund you're talking about, is that the one, the peer report? Was there a peer report on that?
We did do one, and before we got involved, I think it was last year or the year before, where we put the extra monies in it. Before we got involved, the monies kind of went over to MDA and got lost, and not a lot of advertising was done at all. So we also zoned in on the fact that we sent you this money, we expect a product, and so we're beginning to direct where we want this money to go. If you don't do it right, we'll tell you how.
Okay, so the question was going to be, what was their explanation for expending very little of the funds at all toward the goal for what they were given the money for?
Well, I'll just be honest with you, with the previous administration, they gave us very little explanation. So we're just kind of taking charge.
Well, good for you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your bill.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion to table.
Motion to table.
All those in favor? All right. We're going to move on to House Bill 413. And this is a bill that came to me actually a couple of years ago, and sometimes legislation just takes a little bit longer to get through than we like, but this is to develop and promote the gospel music trail. You know, Mississippi is rich in culture for all kinds of music, but we don't want to leave the gospel music trail out. You're talking about Mississippi Mass Choir, the Wilson Singers, the Williams Brothers, all of these wonderful people who have won Academy Awards, and the music is just fantastic. We don't want to leave them out of the trails. Our country music trail, our blues trail have all been so successful, and it's just been a real push for me to make sure that we include our gospel music folks. So this is to identify and preserve our gospel music history, determine the eligibility of such properties, listing on the National Register, be prepared for nominations. And I won't read the bill to you, but we're also going to make sure that it's not just a couple of people deciding who can be nominated for this. We're putting on this commission the director of the Division of Tourism from MDA, the executive director of Mississippi Department of Archives and History, executive director of Mississippi Arts Commission, executive director of Mississippi Educational Television Authority, the chairman of the Board of Southern Arts and Entertainment, director of the Center for Study of Southern Culture, the state director of USDA Rural Development, which sounds strange, but they have lots of grants and we want them on there. 2 members of the Mississippi Senate and 2 members of the Mississippi House. And none of these people will be paid, just as in the other commissions. And this commission shall submit a report including a proposed legislation to the governor and to the legislature before we convene. So every December they will send us what they are determining to do. There is no money in this bill, and it'll take them a year to get this up and going. So we'll look at adding money when they need it, but for the first year, organization is really the big ticket item. Is there any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Chairwoman. Yeah, thank you so much for this bill. I would like to make an amendment if I can. I've spoken with some members of the DMO, that's the Mississippi Destination Marketing Association. And I know the board, this commission is almost, 20 people, I think, if I was counting correctly at this point. And I don't know the maximum number, but it appears that we have two groups that want to be a part of this commission that I think would be very vital to it. And one would be the president of the Mississippi Destination Marketing Association, because all of the visitors and bureaus in Mississippi is a part of this association and they want it to be considered.
Okay, can
As
you say
well
that
as the-
louder? Can you say that
I'm
louder
sorry.
so our attorney's writing this down and he says he cannot hear?
He can't hear me? Okay, I'll try it again.
Okay,
The Mississippi Destination Marketing Association, the president of the Mississippi Destination Marketing Association. They go by DMO.
mhm.
And there's also, you mentioned the Williams Brothers and all of some of the great gospel artists we have here in Mississippi. You may be aware of that the recording studio, Malaco, is here in Jackson, Mississippi, who did all of that. And they wanted to recommend the director of the gospel division for Malaco Records, who have all of that genre you were talking about with the gospel records, the recordings, and all of that information readily at hand. So I wanted us to, if it was possible, to amend to at least include those two groups as part of this commission.
That will be fine. And the attorney wants you to repeat the second one.
Okay. The director of the division, let me see, make sure I have it right. The director of the gospel division for Malaco Records.
Okay, we got it.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of this amendment, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The amendment is adopted. So can I get a motion on the bill?
Motion, this is Abe Hudson.
Title sufficient do pass committee sub is what we're voting on. A second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Bill passed. All right. Motion to reconsider,
Motion.
motion to table.
Motion.
All those in favor? Opposed? I'm gonna make a motion to rise and report, and I thank you so much for showing up today, and I know this is a difficult way to meet.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
John Butler.